The Western world, especially the United States, possesses a huge amount of weaponry. The military might of the West is rarely questioned. Everyone knows that the USA and its allies possess massive military power. But I am going to question just how militarily capable these countries actually are. Obviously, the USA has performed very poorly against insurgencies. Iraq and Afghanistan made that very obvious. But what about conventional warfare? The USA struggled against North Vietnam, and not only in a guerrilla war. It is often forgotten that the North Vietnamese shot down thousands of American military aircraft. They did so with advanced air defences, which included fighter jets and long-range surface-to-air missiles. When NATO bombed Yugoslavia in the 1990s, their attack took significantly longer than expected to achieve the desired outcome, and multiple modern military aircraft were lost to extremely outdated Serbian air defences. Of course, the one huge success story of the West militarily is the Gulf War. And indeed, the Allied coalition did secure a massively one-sided victory. But some details are worth mentioning. Saddam Hussein's main objective was not to crush the coalition. His primary objective was to remain in power and preserve his military might. That is why Iraq evacuated over 130 combat aircraft to Iran. That is a lot of combat aircraft to evacuate, and it makes it very obvious that Iraq wanted to preserve its military, not crush the coalition. Saddam Hussein knew that if he inflicted too many casualties, he would be a dead man. Of course, Iran refused to return the aircraft that Iraq had sent them. And of course they did. Saddam Hussein was a moron to expect them back. Iraq had been at war with Iran for almost all of the preceding decade, and Iran was also under an arms embargo. Why would they send the precious weapons back to their enemy? But this mass evacuation does indicate that Saddam Hussein's demand for a mother of all battles was really just empty rhetoric. Iraq's air defense network was designed by France. It is no surprise that the coalition, which included France, managed to dismantle it so quickly. It is also the case that Arab armies are notoriously bad. Extremely low morale was a major factor. The one-sided victory of the Gulf War was indeed very impressive, but these realities do subtract from it somewhat. Obviously, Western military forces are very high quality. They have excellent weapons and excellent training. But is this enough? Western military forces seem to emphasize quality over quantity. How well did that work for Nazi Germany? They did have very good equipment, but ultimately, the Allies had far more. They wore them down in a brutal war of attrition. The Western militaries were well designed for fast and one-sided wars of annihilation. The West is not well designed for prolonged wars of attrition. Quality is good for fast, crushing wars, but quantity is best for prolonged wars of attrition. World War II makes that very obvious, as does the Ukraine war. Ukraine has excellent weapons and soldiers, but Russia is gradually wearing them down due to the sheer quantity of soldiers and weaponry that they possess. Ultimately, quantity is winning, albeit very slowly. Given the possibility of a larger-scale fight with Russia, perhaps the West needs to re-evaluate its strategy. Or perhaps Russia can be defeated decisively enough to make a war of attrition unnecessary. It also remains to be seen whether China will emphasize quality or quantity more heavily. It seems like with Russia, quantity may be key. These kinds of issues have serious political implications. Recent wars in Eastern Europe and the Middle East have reminded us of the close link between military issues and political issues. The international order is defined by who has what weapons. That is the sad reality. And the world has always been like this, but recent wars have made that reality more clear than ever. These matters need to be taken very seriously. Security cannot be taken for granted. That becomes more obvious every day.